Right now, as you're watching this, wealthy people are looking at the exact same world you are. Same streets, same news, same opportunities. But they're seeing something you literally cannot perceive. It's not intelligence, it's not luck, it's not connections. It's a filter in your mind that makes you blind to wealth. And the most terrifying part, you don't even know you're wearing it. Your brain was installed with a poverty lens before you could even speak, and every single day, it deletes the opportunities that could change your life. Invisible wealth filter. Today, I'm going to show you exactly what the rich see that you don't, and once you see it, you can never unsee it. By the end of this video, your perception of money, opportunity, and success will be permanently altered. The question is, are you ready to take off the blindfold? The poverty lens. Imagine two people walking down the same street. One sees a closed storefront and thinks, what a shame, another business gone. The other sees the same storefront and thinks, that's a prime location with low rent, I could turn that into something. Same street, same building, completely different realities. This is what psychologists call the reticular activating system, the RAS. It's a bundle of nerves at your brainstem that acts as a filter for the 4 billion bits of information hitting your brain every second. Your RAS decides what gets through and what gets deleted. And here's where it gets dark. We don't see things as they are, we see things as we are. Your RAS was programmed by your environment. If you grew up hearing money doesn't grow on trees, rich people are greedy, we can't afford that, your filter was set to delete wealth signals. You're literally blind to money-making opportunities that are right in front of you. Every single day, your brain is erasing the very things that could make you wealthy. And you don't even notice because you can't see what you can't see. But this invisible filter isn't the only thing working against you. Signal vs noise. Here's a question that should disturb you. Have you ever bought a new car and suddenly you see that same car everywhere? They were always there. Your brain just wasn't tuned to notice them. Now apply that to wealth. Rich people have their RAS tuned to a completely different frequency. They see patterns in markets where you see chaos. They see leverage where you see risk. They see assets where you see expenses. A Harvard Business School study found that successful entrepreneurs don't actually take more risks than everyone else. Perception. They simply perceive risk differently. What feels terrifying to you feels calculated to them, not because they're braver, but because their mental filter highlights different data points. The wealthy are not seeing a different world, they are processing the same world differently. Think about your daily routine. You scroll past the same social media posts, the same news articles, the same conversations. But a wealthy person scrolling past the same content extracts completely different information. If this is making you rethink everything you assumed about opportunity, hit like and subscribe because we're about to go much deeper. Because the signal was always there. You just had the wrong antenna. And what I'm about to reveal next explains exactly how that antenna got broken. Inherited blindness. Between the ages of 0 and 7, your brain operated primarily in theta brainwave state. That's essentially a hypnotic trance. Everything your parents said about money went straight into your subconscious without any critical filter. Give me a child until he is 7, and I will show you the man. If your father said we're not made of money, your subconscious recorded it as identity. If your mother said money is the root of all evil, your subconscious filed it under survival rules. These aren't just memories. They became the operating system of your financial life. Dr. Bruce Lipton's research in epigenetics showed that 95% of our daily behavior is run by subconscious programs installed before age 7. Programmed before age 7. You think you're making conscious financial decisions. You're not. You're running scripts written by people who may have never been wealthy themselves. And here's the cruel irony. Your parents weren't trying to hurt you. They were passing down their own inherited blindness. Generations of poverty programming, handed down like a family heirloom nobody wanted. But there's something even more insidious than childhood programming, and it's happening to you right now. The comfort trap. Your brain has one primary job, and it's not to make you rich, it's to keep you alive. And to your ancient survival brain, the unknown equals death. This is why every time you get close to a financial breakthrough, something pulls you back. You self-sabotage, you procrastinate, you find reasons why it won't work. Psychologists call this the upper limit problem. Gay Hendricks wrote an entire book about it. Each of us has an internal thermostat for how much success we'll allow ourselves. When you start exceeding your programmed comfort zone, your subconscious triggers anxiety, fear, even physical illness. Anything to bring you back to your familiar financial temperature. Your comfort zone is not where you rested, is where your dreams go to die. Rich people see this trap for what it is. They've learned to recognize the discomfort of growth and push through it instead of retreating. When a wealthy person feels fear about a financial decision, they ask, is this real danger, or is this my thermostat trying to pull me back? Thermostat controls your wealth. You feel the same fear and interpret it as a sign to stop. Same emotion, completely different response. And this leads us to perhaps the most important difference between how the rich and poor see money. Money is energy. Poor people see money as a thing, a physical object, something you hold onto, protect, and fear losing. Rich people see money as energy, a flow, something that moves, circulates, and multiplies when directed properly. Money is like water. If you try to hold it, it slips through your fingers. If you let it flow, it creates rivers. This isn't just philosophy, it's neuroscience. When you see money as scarce, your brain activates the amygdala, your fear center. You make decisions from a place of survival, hoard, protect, defend. But when you see money as abundant and flowing, your prefrontal cortex activates. That's your creative center. You strategize, you invest, you build. A study at Princeton found that financial scarcity literally reduces cognitive function by the equivalent of 13 IQ points. Being broke makes you think worse, which keeps you broke. It's a vicious cycle. The wealthy break this cycle by fundamentally changing their relationship with money from scarcity to flow. They don't ask, how can I save more? They ask, how can I create more value so more money flows to me? The question you ask about money determines the answer you receive. But seeing money differently is only half the equation. What the rich see about time is even more revolutionary. The time illusion. You've been taught to trade time for money, 8 hours of your life for a paycheck, and you've accepted this as normal. But rich people see something you don't. They see that time is the only truly finite resource, and trading it directly for money is the worst deal in human history. Time for money, worst deal. Warren Buffett was once asked what the biggest financial mistake most people make is. His answer was simple. They don't understand the difference between linear and exponential income. When you work for an hourly wage, your income is linear. 1 hour equals one payment, period. But the wealthy build systems that decouple their time from their income. Rich people build machines that make money while they sleep. This isn't about being lazy, it's about leverage. A book you write once sells for decades. A system you build once runs without you. An investment you make once compounds forever. If you don't find a way to make money while you sleep, you will work until you die. The poor see a 24-hour day. The rich see the same 24 hours and ask, how do I make this hour work for me 1,000 times over? And this shift in how they see time connects directly to something even more invisible. Invisible assets. Right now, you are surrounded by assets you cannot see, not because they're hidden, but because your poverty lens filters them out. Rich people see assets everywhere. A skill is an asset. A relationship is an asset. A problem that millions of people share is an asset. You see your daily frustrations as annoyances. The wealthy see those same frustrations as million-dollar problems waiting to be solved. Everywhere. Sarah Blakely was getting dressed one day and hated how her underwear looked under white pants. That frustration became Spanx, a billion-dollar company. She didn't have special access. She saw what every woman saw, but she had a different filter. Every problem you complain about is a business someone else is building. Here's a test. Think about the last 5 things you complained about this week. Now ask yourself, what if someone paid me to solve this problem for others? Problems equal profit. That mental shift from complainer to solver is worth more than any degree. The wealthy don't have fewer problems than you. The size of your bank account is directly proportional to the size of the problems you're willing to solve. But the biggest invisible asset isn't a problem or a skill. It's something you already possess but have been taught to ignore. Your identity code. This is the one the rich see that almost nobody talks about. Your self-identity is the ceiling of your wealth. You will never consistently earn more than your identity allows. You don't get what you want. You get what you believe you deserve. If deep down you identify as a middle-class person, every time you earn above that level, your subconscious will find a way to bring you back. Unexpected expenses, bad investments, impulse purchases. Your identity has a gravitational pull. Dr. Maxwell Maltz discovered this in the 1960s with his work on psychocybernetics. He found that plastic surgery patients who changed their appearance but not their self-image returned to the same life patterns. External change without internal identity shift changes nothing. The wealthy understand this at a cellular level. Before they earned their first million, they already saw themselves as millionaires. Not in a delusional way, in a fundamental identity way. They changed who they were before they changed what they had. You must become wealthy in your mind before money arrives in your bank. Ask yourself honestly, when you picture your future self, what do you see? Is that person wealthy or just getting by? Because your brain is building exactly the future you're imagining. And this connects to the most dangerous blind spot of all, the language trap. Listen to how broke people talk about money. I can't afford that. Money is hard to make. The economy is terrible. That's too expensive. Now listen to how wealthy people phrase the same situations. How can I afford that? Money flows to value. Where's the opportunity in this economy? What's the return on this investment? Words shape your reality. This isn't positive thinking nonsense. Your language literally shapes your neural pathways. Neuroscientist Dr. Andrew Newberg found that the words you use repeatedly physically alter the structure of your brain. Negative financial language strengthens neural pathways associated with fear and scarcity. Positive financial language strengthens pathways associated with creativity and opportunity. The limits of my language mean the limits of my world. Every time you say I can't afford it, you're not describing reality, you're programming it. Your brain takes that statement as an instruction and stops looking for solutions. The wealthy don't say I can't, they ask how can I? Start monitoring your financial vocabulary this week. Write down every statement you make about money. 1. Replace I can't afford it with how can I afford it. 2. Replace money is hard with money flows to me. 3. Replace I'm not rich with I'm building wealth. You'll be horrified at how often your own words are building the walls of your financial prison. But wait, because the final piece of this puzzle is the one that changes everything. The wealth switch. Everything I've shared with you today leads to one simple truth. Wealth isn't something you chase. It's something you become. The rich don't see a different world. They process their internal software differently. They upgraded their lens, and here's what should give you chills. Now, you can do this too, right now, not in 5 years, not when conditions are perfect. Today. The moment you become aware of your poverty lens, it starts to crack. The moment you catch yourself saying I can't afford that and switch it to how can I afford that, you're rewiring decades of programming. Every millionaire started where you are. Blind, programmed, limited. The only difference is they chose to see. They chose to question their beliefs. They chose to install new software. The gap between where you are and where you want to be is just a software update. This video didn't teach you something new. It showed you something you've been looking at your entire life but couldn't see. The opportunities were always there. The money was always flowing. The assets were always visible. You just had the wrong filter on. Remove the filter, see wealth. Now that you know what to look for, you cannot go back to being blind. The question is no longer whether you can see it. The question is, what will you do now that you can? You've just been shown the invisible architecture of wealth, the filter that deletes opportunities, the childhood programming that set your thermostat, the language that builds your prison walls, the identity that caps your income. All of it was running silently in the background of your life, keeping you blind to what the wealthy see every single day. The real voyage of discovery consists not in seeking new landscapes, but in having new eyes. From this moment forward, you have new eyes. Use them. Question every belief you have about money. Monitor every word you speak about wealth. Challenge the identity you've been assigned, because you were never meant to be blind. You were just never shown how to see. If you made it this far, comment any WIs to prove you've removed the filter. New eyes, new life. Your mind is either programmed for wealth or poverty. Now you know how to reprogram it. If this video opened your eyes, hit like and subscribe. There's so much more to uncover.